Reporters spoke to Trump during a press conference today, and one of the questions, a question that many of us have had ever since a 17-year-old armed militia member gunned down 2 demonstrators in Kenosha, Wisconsin, is what's Trump gonna say? Is he gonna defend this? Is he gonna condemn it? This is the kind of violence and vigilantism that should be condemned, especially by the president. Well, that's not what we got today. In fact, when Trump was asked about it, he said, we're looking at all of it. That was an interesting situation. You saw the same tape I saw. He then described Rittenhouse as acting in self-defense, saying, quote, he was very violently attacked by demonstrators. And it was something that we're looking at right now, and it's under investigation. But I guess he was in very big trouble. He probably would have been killed, but it's under investigation. Asked if he backs supporters taking matters into their own hands, the type of vigilantism that we're hearing from these militia members. Trump said he'd, quote, like to see law enforcement take care of everything. But remember, law enforcement in Kenosha not only ignored the armed militia members who were there, they actually told them that they were appreciated, handed them bottles of water. And keep in mind that Kyle Rittenhouse, as a 17-year-old from Illinois, not from Wisconsin, had an illegal weapon and crossed state lines twice with an illegal weapon. And Trump is saying that, it looks like he defended himself. Well, it started off with a demonstrator getting shot in the head. And right now, we don't see any evidence of Rittenhouse having to shoot someone in the head to defend himself. Later, when other demonstrators tried to disarm him after he had shot someone in the head, there was a video of him, in a physical altercation with other demonstrators who were attempting to disarm him. He fired his weapon again, wounding one and killing another demonstrator. So that's what we know so far. And Trump, again, through his words and his actions, is emboldening these types of people to show up to demonstrations heavily armed, and it always escalates to violence. And I think more people are gonna die because of the type of rhetoric we're hearing from Trump.
Yeah, it's very disconcerting to see someone who has a national platform, who is the president of the United States, not even take this kind of a layup. Like, we just alley-ooped. Here's this guy that you see on camera from multiple angles who has attacked protesters, and then after shooting somebody runs away and now is trying to claim self-defense. If he's trying to get that little 2% black vote where he's got this RNC convention, he's talking about black men struggling in the Midwest, this was a layup to try and get a few more people on your side if you want to have any sort of legitimacy amongst the black community. Obviously, he does not care about that. And the thing is, he knows his base. He knows that black people, no matter how much he tries to make little overtures to them, that we are not his base. The right wing, white supremacist adjacent, far right, that is his base, and this is exactly who he's catering to. Because when we want to claim that we want self-defense, if we just have a semblance of even a knife that somebody didn't even see, then we can't even say we have self-defense. That's exactly what happened with Jacob Blake. You have these police officers saying, oh, well, he had a gun and he had a knife in the front seat somewhere, and so somehow that justified his killing by police authorities. Yet you have someone who just shot somebody in the head and killed them on camera, and somehow we're supposed to give him grace, we're supposed to give him understanding. I wish we all got that same understanding, and we all got that same kind of empathy, and we don't, and we recognize that, and he recognizes that.
What do you think the answer is? I mean, this is an incredibly dangerous situation where you have the president green lighting this kind of activity, this kind of behavior. We have a heavily armed country, and it's especially true of the right wing, and they're showing up to these demonstrations with the intention of escalating violence, provoking people. I'm asking you such a difficult question. I'm mostly just trying to think this through myself. what can people do to stay safe? Because people should have the ability and the right to practice their First Amendment rights. They should be able to assemble and make their voices heard. And they're gonna be met with these types of people who are, again, further emboldened by Trump. I don't know what the answer is. I don't wanna discourage people from demonstrating. I think that's an important part of this movement, and I don't want that to stop. But I don't want more people to die. And it's just, how do we do this?
I wish I had the answer too. And I think the problem is so many people who are trying to think of the answer are the people who aren't inflicting the violence. I think you have a lot of people who are invested in not thinking about the answer. You have a lot of people who appreciate having this kind of, who are wishing for a race war. And if they were also thinking about these questions, they were also thinking about, okay, well, how can I truly protect my community without going, across to somebody else's state and thinking that they need to be protected? If we had them thinking about, the same sorts of, justice and fairness that we were thinking about, we'd be in a different place. So it's hard for me to say because we're not the ones going out there shooting people. But I do think that for a lot of people who do care about this work, Black Lives Matter activists, this isn't going to stop them anyway. It hasn't stopped Black Lives Matter activists over the years that they've been doing this. Mind you, this came out of the Trayvon Martin killing, which was about, self-defense of an armed vigilante. And so that didn't just, in fact, it spawned Black Lives Matter. So I think it's going to continue for those who are really committed to this work. The problem is, how do you build like a mass movement? How do you get people to think about abolition and defunding if this is what happened for people who are advocating for it? And that's going to take some time to think about. And I think a different president who's not going to encourage this from the top down.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.